Seinfeld ran for 9 seasons on NBC, 180 episodes, a show about nothing that somehow became everything. But here is what most people never talk about. Some of these actors went on to build careers worth nearly $1 billion. One destroyed everything in just 3 minutes, and a few vanished from Hollywood completely. This is what happened to the cast of Seinfeld. Number 1. Jerry Seinfeld as Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry was 35 years old when Seinfeld first aired on July 5, 1989. And here is the thing most people forget. Nobody wanted the show. NBC executives called it too New York, too Jewish, too inside. One executive literally said the show had no future. They almost pulled the plug after the very first season, but Jerry believed in it. And he negotiated something that would change his life forever. Instead of just taking a big salary, he took ownership. He and co-creator Larry David held on to the back-end equity of the show. That one decision made all the difference. By the final season, Jerry was earning $1 million per episode. NBC even offered him $5 million per episode. 20 more episodes, $100 million total, just to keep going. He said no. He wanted to go out on top, and going out on top paid off in ways nobody expected. Syndication deals brought him $465 million. The Netflix streaming deal added another $94 million. Today at 71 years old, Jerry Seinfeld has an estimated net worth of $1.1 billion. Yes, billion. He is the richest comedian in the world. Richer than Tom Cruise. Richer than most Hollywood legends. All from a show about nothing. He still tours. Still performs stand-up. Released the Netflix comedy film Unfrosted in 2024. And his Porsche car collection alone is worth close to $100 million. Not bad for a guy who once said, "Even if I could just make enough not to starve, I would still do this." Number 2. Michael Richards as Cosmo Kramer. Michael Richards was 40 years old when he first burst through Jerry's apartment door as Cosmo Kramer. And that entrance, that sliding, stumbling, wild-eyed entrance, it told you everything you needed to know about the character. Kramer was unlike anyone on television. He had no job, no real plan, just schemes, big ideas, and the most unpredictable physical comedy you had ever seen. Michael won 3 Emmy Awards for this role. 3. More than any other cast member. His timing was not just good, it was genius. By the final season, Michael was earning $600,000 per episode. Over the entire 9-year run, he made approximately $45 million from Seinfeld alone. A fortune by any measure, but here is where the story takes a turn. In November 2006, Michael Richards walked on stage at the Laugh Factory Comedy Club in Los Angeles. A heckler interrupted his set, and in 3 minutes, he destroyed everything he had built. He went on a racist rant, using the worst possible language. It was filmed, and it went everywhere. Jerry Seinfeld stood beside him on The Late Show with David Letterman and told the laughing audience, "Stop laughing, it is not funny." Michael apologized, privately, publicly, to civil rights leaders, to everyone. But the damage was done. His stand-up career ended. Hollywood went quiet. The comeback never came. He wrote a memoir in 2024 called Entrances and Exits. In it he said, "I am not racist. The man who heckled me said what I had been saying to myself for years. I felt put down, and I wanted to put him down." He added, "It was a self-centered reaction, and I have never forgiven myself for it." Today at 75 years old, Michael Richards lives quietly. His net worth sits at around $30 million. Enough to be comfortable, but a long way from where he could have been. Kramer was a legend, and that part of the story will never change. Number 3. Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Elaine Binns. Julia was 28 years old when she first walked onto the Seinfeld set in 1989, and from day one, she owned every single scene she was in. Elaine Binns was sharp, opinionated, chaotic, and absolutely hilarious. Her terrible dancing, her obsession with the English patient, her constant war with the world. Julia brought all of it to life with a brilliance that nobody else could have matched. She earned $600,000 per episode by the final season, and she won an Emmy Award for the role. But that was just the beginning. After Seinfeld ended, a strange rumor spread through Hollywood. They called it the Seinfeld curse, the idea that no cast member could ever succeed again after the show. For some, it turned out to be true. But Julia Louis-Dreyfus laughed at the curse, and then she destroyed it. She won another Emmy for The New Adventures of Old Christine. And then came Veep. She played Selina Meyer, a fictional vice president of the United States, and it became one of the greatest comedic performances in television history. She won 6 consecutive Emmy Awards for that role. 6 in a row. That had never been done before in the history of American television. She also joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, appearing in Black Widow, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Thunderbolts in 2025. But life also brought her a frightening challenge. In 2017, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She announced it publicly, fought it bravely, and came back stronger than ever. Today at 64 years old, Julia Louis-Dreyfus has a net worth of $250 million. She is the most successful cast member in Seinfeld history, and arguably, one of the greatest comedic actresses who ever lived. Number 4. Jason Alexander as George Costanza. Jason was 30 years old when he first appeared as George Costanza, the short, stocky, bald, neurotic, utterly lovable loser from Queens, New York. George was the character every viewer secretly understood. He lied constantly. He was petty. He was jealous. He once pretended to be an architect just to impress a woman. And yet somehow, you rooted for him every single time. Jason was born J. Scott Greenspan in Newark, New Jersey. And before Seinfeld ever happened, he was already a serious theater actor. In 1989, the same year Seinfeld premiered, he won a Tony Award on Broadway for Jerome Robbins' Broadway, a Tony and a career-defining TV role in the same year. That almost never happens. On Seinfeld, he received 7 consecutive Emmy nominations. 7. He never won. And that remains one of the great injustices in Emmy history. He was earning $600,000 per episode by the final season. $15 million for that last season alone. But unlike Jerry and Larry David, he never saw a cent from syndication, a decision that cost him hundreds of millions. After Seinfeld, Jason stayed busy. He appeared in Pretty Woman, Shallow Hal, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, The Connors, and most recently, the Netflix film The Electric State in 2025, starring alongside Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown. He also plays high-stakes poker tournaments, and once won $500,000 for charity in a single game. Today, at 65 years old, Jason Alexander has a net worth of $50 million. He is funny, talented, and still, after all these years, he will always be George Costanza. Number 5. Wayne Knight as Newman. Wayne Knight was 36 years old when he first appeared as Newman in 1992. And the moment he walked on screen, you knew he was special. Newman was not just a neighbor. He was a nemesis, a schemer, a man who lived to make Jerry Seinfeld's life miserable. And Wayne played him with such gleeful commitment that every single scene he was in became an instant classic. Jerry's reaction alone whenever Newman entered a room was worth the price of admission. Just one word: cold. Dripping with contempt. Newman. Wayne appeared in 44 episodes across the entire run of the show, and he made every single one count. But here is something most fans do not know. Before Seinfeld, Wayne Knight was already quietly building a serious resume. He appeared in Dirty Dancing in 1987, Basic Instinct in 1992, and then came the role that made the whole world notice. Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park, 1993. The man who shut down the park's security, the man who tried to steal dinosaur embryos, and got exactly what he deserved from a Dilophosaurus. That performance earned him a Saturn Award nomination and introduced him to a whole new audience. After Seinfeld ended, Wayne jumped into Third Rock from the Sun for 5 full seasons. He voiced characters in Toy Story 2, Tarzan, Kung Fu Panda, and most recently appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 in 2025. Still working, still delivering. Today at 69 years old, Wayne Knight has a net worth of around $10 million. Not the biggest fortune on this list, but for a character actor who turned a mailman nemesis into a pop culture icon, that is a career well lived. Number 6. Estelle Harris as Estelle Costanza. Estelle Harris was 63 years old when she joined Seinfeld in 1992, and she came in absolutely swinging. Estelle Costanza was George's mother. Overbearing, dramatic, loud, with a voice that could shatter glass from 3 rooms away. She could go from zero to full meltdown in under 2 seconds flat. And the scenes between her and Jerry Stiller as Frank Costanza were some of the funniest moments in the entire show. She made her Seinfeld debut in one of the most celebrated episodes in television history, The Contest, the Emmy Award-winning episode from 1992. That one appearance alone told you everything about her talent. Over 6 seasons she appeared in 27 episodes, every single one a masterclass in physical comedy and pitch-perfect timing. After Seinfeld, she did not slow down for a single moment. She voiced Mrs. Potato Head in Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, and Toy Story 4. 3 generations of children grew up hearing that voice and having no idea it was the same woman who screamed at George Costanza. She also had a recurring role in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and guest starred on everything from iCarly to Curb Your Enthusiasm. She retired in 2015, then came out of retirement just to voice Mrs. Potato Head one final time in Toy Story 4 in 2019. Because some characters, you just cannot let go. Estelle Harris passed away on April 2, 2022, at her home in Palm Desert, California. She was 93 years old. Her net worth at the time of her passing was $5 million. Number 7. Jerry Stiller as Frank Costanza. Jerry Stiller was 66 years old when he first appeared as Frank Costanza in 1993, and right away, he was something else entirely. Frank was explosive, unpredictable, a man who could go from zero to full meltdown before you even finished your sentence. His catchphrases became part of American culture. Serenity now, the Festivus pole, the airing of grievances. Jerry did not just play Frank Costanza, he became him. But here is something most fans do not know. Jerry Stiller was not the original Frank Costanza. Another actor played the role first. Jerry was actually hesitant to take the part. He was already committed to something else. Then months later the call came again, and this time, he said yes. Thank goodness he did. The character as originally written was quiet and meek. Jerry walked into rehearsal and told Larry David, "This is not working. Let me try something different." Larry said go ahead, and what came out of that conversation was one of the funniest characters in sitcom history. He received an Emmy nomination in 1997 for the role, and won the American Comedy Award in 1998. But Jerry Stiller's story goes far beyond Seinfeld. He had already spent decades as one half of the legendary comedy duo Stiller and Meara with his wife Ann. They appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show 36 times. 36. After Seinfeld ended, he went straight into The King of Queens for 9 full seasons, appeared alongside his son Ben Stiller in Zoolander, and never stopped working until the very end. Jerry Stiller passed away on May 11, 2020, at his home in Manhattan. His net worth at the time of his passing was $14 million. But the laughter he gave the world across 60 years, that was priceless. Rest in peace, Jerry. Number 8. Heidi Swedberg as Susan Ross. Heidi Swedberg was born in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1966, and she brought to life one of the most tragic characters in the history of American television, Susan Ross. George Costanza's long-suffering fiancée, Susan first appeared in season 4 as an NBC executive. George and Jerry pitched her their idea for a sitcom. She started dating George, and from that moment on, her life was a slow, moving disaster. Kramer vomited on her, burned down her father's beloved cabin. George got her fired from her job, and George spent most of their engagement trying to find a way out of it. Then in the season 7 finale, Susan licked the envelopes for their wedding invitations. Cheap envelopes that George had bought to save money. The glue was toxic, and just like that, Susan Ross was gone. George's reaction was not grief. He looked almost relieved, and the audience laughed. It was dark, it was wrong, and it was absolutely perfect Seinfeld. Heidi appeared in 29 episodes across 4 seasons, but behind the scenes, things were complicated. Jason Alexander told Howard Stern in 2015 that the chemistry between Heidi and the main cast never quite clicked. He later regretted saying it, publicly apologized, and called her generous and gracious. Heidi herself responded gracefully, saying simply, "That is a good reason why to play ukulele instead of working in television." And that is exactly what she did. Heidi walked away from Hollywood entirely, picked up the ukulele she had loved since childhood in Hawaii, and never looked back. Today she teaches music to children, performs at festivals across the country with her bands Heidi Swedberg and the Suki Jump Band and the Smoking Jackets, and writes for Ukulele magazine. She said it herself, "I no longer cared about being important or impressive. I began to have fun." Her net worth today is estimated at around $300,000, the smallest on this list by far. But if you ask Heidi Swedberg, she is exactly where she wants to be. Number 9. Patrick Warburton as David Puddy. Patrick Warburton was 30 years old when he first appeared in Seinfeld as David Puddy in 1995. And from that very first scene, you knew this guy was different. Puddy was Elaine's on, again off, again boyfriend, a mechanic, tall, confident for absolutely no reason, obsessed with the New Jersey Devils hockey team, and possibly the most gloriously blank human being ever put on television. He had a catchphrase that said everything about him. "Yeah, that is right." Delivered in a voice so flat, so certain, so completely unbothered, that the audience lost their minds every single time. But here is something most people do not know. Patrick Warburton actually avoided Jerry Seinfeld on set on purpose. He said it himself. "I just did not want to stick my foot in my mouth or say something stupid. I wanted to hit my marks, get the laughs, and have him say, 'I like that Puddy character. Let us bring him back.'" The strategy worked. He appeared in 10 episodes total across the run of the show, and became one of the most remembered characters in Seinfeld history. His own father sent him a 6-page letter saying how disappointed he was in the role. Patrick still laughs about it today. After Seinfeld, Patrick went everywhere. Rules of Engagement for 7 seasons, The Tick, Lemony Snicket on Netflix, Kronk in The Emperor's New Groove, Joe Swanson in Family Guy. His voice alone has powered over 100 different projects across film and television. And in 2025, at 60 years old, he finally launched his very first stand-up comedy tour. Today, Patrick Warburton is still very active, still very funny, and still, after all these years, completely unbothered. Number 10. Len Lesser as Uncle Leo. Len Lesser was 69 years old when he got the call that would finally make him famous. 69, after more than 4 decades of grinding. After more than 500 film and television appearances that almost nobody remembered. After a lifetime of being the guy in the background. The face you recognized but could never name. It was Seinfeld that finally gave Len Lesser his moment. He was born on December 3, 1922 in the Bronx, New York. Son of a Polish immigrant grocer, he graduated from City College of New York in 1942 at just 19 years old. And the day after Pearl Harbor was attacked, he walked into an Army recruitment office and enlisted. He served in the China-Burma-India theater during World War II, came home a sergeant, and decided the rest of his life belonged to acting. For the next 40 years, he worked alongside Clint Eastwood in Kelly's Heroes, alongside Dustin Hoffman, Steve McQueen, Barbara Streisand, Lee Marvin. He was everywhere. And almost nobody knew his name. Then came Uncle Leo, Jerry's excitable, endlessly enthusiastic, borderline impossible uncle who greeted everyone with a booming hello, whether they wanted to hear it or not. He appeared in 15 episodes across the entire run of Seinfeld, and every single one was a masterclass. Uncle Leo blamed everything on anti-Semitism, got Jerry's name tattooed on his knuckles during a prison stint, and drove audiences absolutely crazy with laughter every time he appeared. After Seinfeld, he went straight into Everybody Loves Raymond as Garvin. Same explosive enthusiasm, different show. Same genius delivery, same Len Lesser. In his final years, he was battling cancer. He kept performing anyway, right up until the very end. Len Lesser passed away on February 16, 2011 in Burbank, California. He was 88 years old. Jerry Seinfeld said of him, "Len was one of our favorites. We always loved having him on the show. He was a very sweet guy, a man who spent 40 years being overlooked, and finally found his moment, at 69, in a show about nothing. That meant everything. Rest in peace, Len."